What's up, everybody? I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video like this, but I've been training, working on my companies, and I'm making this video today to break down why I stopped running track at NC State. It's been a long time. I know y'all been waiting on this content, but I wanted to wait till the right time, and now is the right time to really expose what happened at NC State. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start by explaining what even led me to getting a full scholarship to NC State in the first place. So, I'm gonna give you all a lot of context so that y'all can understand what made me make this abrupt decision, because I was on full scholarship and I'm number 5 all time at NC State for multiple events, a 60 meter and a 300 meter. So this journey starts at actually age 14 for me. So age 14, I had hundreds of thousands of followers on social media from meme pages, and I wanted to monetize it, which led me to creating my first app, which was called Flying Yeezy. It went insanely viral. We hit number 7 on paid entertainment apps. I'll put the screenshot right here. And this was my first time doing some big entrepreneurship things, right? So I ended up selling this app. I got acquired after only a few months of me launching it, which really showed me how much money you can make online. And with that money, I invested that back into my athleticism, buying sleds, buying bench press, buying parachutes, and buying cleats, spikes, whatever I needed to basically excel in my sports. So my junior year of high school was actually my first year running track in high school. So my football coach made us run track during the off season, so that way we can keep our speed, keep our explosiveness for the upcoming football season. I had big dreams of being, an Oregon wide receiver and killing it and, going to the NFL and whatnot. But when I started getting into track, I started to realize how you can't get overlooked in track. In football, you can easily get overlooked. The QB doesn't throw you the ball, or the coach doesn't put you out on the field, whatever. There's so many variables that go into football that can make you get overlooked, and you just end up, flipping burgers or whatever. So with track, I saw the work you put in is what you get out of it. And I am a grinder. I'm a hard worker. I put in the effort. I put in the work every rep, every session. So that kind of made me fall in love with with track and the numbers, right? So my first year running track indoor, I placed 4th in the 55 meter. And then when outdoor track came around, I placed 2nd in long jump at the state meet. And that same, my junior year summer, they recruited me to run summer track. So I ended up running 10.58. So I went from 11.7 the year before to running 10.5 that next summer. So it was a huge jump, and NC State, I guess, saw that, and they reached out to me before my senior season. Keep this in mind. They reached out before I started my senior season. So I wasn't even a full year of running track before I had an offer from NC State, right? So it was huge to me, because that was one of my dream schools. And to just start, to literally just start playing the sport and to get this scholarship, I was head over heels. I was like, yo, this is amazing. I love track, And I went on to my senior season of high school, and I dominated on another level like never seen before. So during the state meet, I got the state record in the 300 meter dash, the state meet record. I won long jump, and I ran the number 1 time in the nation, all in one meet, right? So I scored around 32 points in my indoor state meet, and I was so ready to go to NC State and break records, because the reason I committed to NC State was not only because it was one of my dream schools, but the recruits were crazy. Like, we had Naeem Hines, who is now NFL running back, killing it at the Indianapolis Colts. Shout out to my boy Nye, keep doing your thing. We had Cravant Charleston. He was ranked #1 in the nation the year prior to that. Dylan Peebles, he was highly ranked. His dad was in the Hall of Fame at NC State for track and football. So he had it in his genes, and he went to LSU and won a national championship there. So we had a squad. We were actually aiming to break the 4x1 record, the NCAA record. We had the squad to do so, right? And then also the coach, Alan Johnson, was Olympic gold medalist, world record holder. We were really about to come in and blow the whole program up, right? We were a deep squad. We also had Quayshawn Cunningham, Wayne Patterson. Like, we had so many people on the squad. Like, I was hyped. I was ready. So, boom, I get to NC State. And prior to getting to NC State, I had a little hamstring issue my senior outdoor season, but it wasn't that bad. Ended up going to state, doing pretty well. Like I said earlier in the video, I was #5 all time in the 60 meter, 300 meter, but I never got to run in an outdoor meet, and here's why. They pushed me to my limit. Like, I was 17 going into college, and with that being said, this was only my second. Actually, I only ran 2 years I had 2 years of track experience, and I was 17, so my hamstrings were going through it. Like, I did long jump, 300 meter, 100 meter, 200. I did all the racing event, all the sprinting events, and long jump. So my body wasn't really ready for all that, I guess. And NC State didn't care. You know what I'm saying? They wanted me to do 4 events at every single meet that I ran in. And what that led to happening was more and more issues with my hamstring. And I wanted I told them, like, yo, my hamstring is going through it. Let's not put me in running events and jumping events in the same meet. So I talked to the coaches about this, and they agreed that, you know, it wasn't that smart to do that because I couldn't excel in both at every single meet. And lo and behold, they still did it the next meet. And I got hurt, and this was one of my worst injuries. And this led me to being out the whole outdoor season because they didn't want to listen to my body and they didn't want to listen to me. And from taking this, I thought, okay, I'll have a red shirt year anyways. Like, I'll come back next season and dominate. You know, it's nothing but being consistent with my physical therapy, which I was in the physical therapy room every single day. You know, I was dedicated to this, dedicated to being the fastest person on the team in the country because, you know, my roommate at the time was the fastest person in the world. And I came out of high school #1 in the nation. So it was great iron, sharpened iron, and I was really ready to dominate. But they kept pushing me to my limit. Every time I felt like my hamstring was a little bit better, they would push me out to practice. They didn't give me a rest period to actually allow my hamstring to rebuild that muscle for it to rebuild and come back stronger. They wanted to just keep pushing it to the limit. They're trying to squeeze every little itsy bits of money and training out of me, right? And, you know, during my time in college, I still had this burning passion for being an entrepreneur because you can go online and see that track athletes, they don't usually make that much money. So I kind of knew that, okay, if I even go pro in track, I probably will still have my own tech company or record label, whatever I would have alongside my track career. So during the summer, I would do entrepreneurship. I would do music. I have a passion for music as well. So, you know, I've done everything from drop shipping, made thousands and thousands of dollars from drop shipping. And then I even had a record label, event throwing company where I do events for local artists. We would rent out venues. I would get sponsors, promoters, artists to come out, and we do great events, and I would network and do all these amazing things for the community. And, you know, after telling them, you know, my body is getting pushed to the limit, they wouldn't listen. So I get pushed out to another meet, and I have this it was at Texas Tech. I remember this day vividly. I remember warming up for the 60 meter, feeling kind of confident, but at the same time knowing that they rushed me to come back. And literally 40 meters into this 60 meter, I felt like somebody threw a baseball right at my hamstring. And I kept running, kept pushing through. Lo and behold, I tore my hamstring. So I thought, right? And if you're not familiar, at the D1 level, they usually have all these resources where they don't want you to go outside of the facility's resources to get checked. So I got an MRI in-house. And what the physician told me, what the doctor told me, was that it was just a strain, right? They said it was I think grade 2 or grade 3 strain. I'll be able to come back in a certain amount of months or whatever. So I'm believing him, because I'm thinking, I'm probably 18, 19 at the time. I'm like, okay, I'll do my physical therapy. I'll come back stronger, whatever. But lo and behold, they lied straight to my face. This is one instance where they lied to me, right? They said that it was a strain when it was really a tear. I got it checked from somebody else after the fact, after I left NC State, and they were like, yeah, this is far beyond a strain. You tore this tremendously. You changed the whole anatomy within your hamstring. And after hearing this, I was so fed up, right? And I really wanted to hit my full potential. I wanted to hit my full potential not only on the track, but in life, right? I know my talents with building companies, with building tech companies. I know my talent with building brands and building social media pages and marketing, graphic design, video editing. I have all these passions, all these talents that were getting put into this box because I had to focus on track. And since I kept getting hurt, I had to put more time in the track because of the injuries they would keep manifesting, right? And this was before the NIL rule, so I couldn't technically make money from my name and brand when I was at NC State. So there were all these things that are putting me in this box, and I just kept getting hurt. I kept seeing this cycle of, getting hurt, coming back, getting hurt, coming back too fast, getting hurt, and just this cycle reoccurring. And I wasn't for it. I knew what I could do. I knew if I waited and was patient, I could be the fastest man on this earth. So what I did was tell the coach, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I knew the cycle they were going to keep having me on, and I was not for it. And it was honestly the smartest thing I could have possibly done at the time, because this was 2019. So we all know what happens in 2020. The pandemic hits. And during the pandemic, at NC State at least, they were training even though there were no meets, which is bogus. And while they were training, I was building my brand on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, building companies. I had my light technology company, drop shipping companies, and building up my network as well. So this led me to actually moving to Silicon Valley, San Francisco, California, if you're not familiar, and being a part of a tech startup out there. It was called MilMe. It's called MilMe. And I was head of growth and content. And when I was there, I was throwing events. We lived in this big penthouse. We had 2 penthouses across from Oracle Park. So instead of training in Raleigh for no meets, I was living in a penthouse in Silicon Valley, right? And was able to grow this company. I generated over 60 million views for this company. We had investments from the biggest investors in Silicon Valley. I helped them raise $3.5 million. I got networked and connected with the people in SF, which was amazing. And like I said, I was throwing events, creating content, and it was an amazing experience, a life-changing experience, because I took that leap of faith and believed in my skills and my talent. And even when I was in San Francisco, I was still training. I was hitting the gym, I was running hills, doing core, sticking to my nature because I knew I could balance entrepreneurship and my sport. I know it's possible. I know it can be done, right? All it takes is executing and doing it and being consistent. So when I was there and we were getting all this inbound, getting millions of views, other companies that were funded in SF started to reach out to me. And by the time the summer was over, I had landed 6-figure jobs, right? So I come back to Raleigh, NC with my 6-figure jobs, doing growth and content for 2 Silicon Valley startups. And yeah, I was spending my money to focus on my diet, educating myself. I got this thing called Volume, which takes your gut microbes and gives you a specific diet for your gut. I paid videographers to come to my practices and push content for you guys. A trainer, TJ Graham, who also ran at NC State, and he went to the NFL after running track and playing football at NC State. And funny story about that is, TJ was actually getting recruited by NC State to be a coach, but they couldn't even afford to get him, right? And let me give y'all some more context on the NC State coach. NC State coach is over 80 years old. He's been coaching there for 40 years. He's been coaching there so long that the person that I was running with, Dylan, he coached his dad. He was the head coach when his dad was there. This is how old this guy is, and he's out of touch, honestly, to be frank with you. And like I said, I've been being consistent going to physical therapy, getting my hamstring stronger, training consistently, got a new trainer, and just being disciplined and sticking to my routine, sticking to my diet. I was honored to, live in the best place to live in Raleigh, NC, downtown. We had this great gym. We had Publix underneath my apartment building, so I didn't even have to leave my building to get my groceries. It was amazing, right? After 6 months or so of me doing my own thing, doing my own training, I had my first meet, which I had to pay for. I had to pay for my travel, had to pay for the Airbnb, had to pay for the meet, had to pay for I had to pay for everything. Pulled up with my own gear, with my own videographer. I probably spent over $1,000 going to this meet, right? I was doing something that had never been done. Somebody my age, breaking into the track community, changing how people can even be a track athlete, right? Because I was 21 making 6 figures and running track. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was making more money than pro track athletes, than a lot of pro track athletes. So I was able to do something very different and push this content to you guys, and you guys could be able to see me actively changing the game, right? And another cool thing I was able to do while I was in Silicon Valley is they actually changed the rule, the NIL rule, when I was working at Milme. So as soon as I heard the news that athletes could get paid, the first thing I did was call up all my D1 friends. My boy Bryce Wheaton, he was probably one of the first NIL deals of all time, because I called him the morning of, and told him we'll pay you to post about Milme. Boom, got that deal. I did like a dozen deals with D1 athletes the first few days of the NIL, and I believe that excelled Milme's growth, that excelled how people even saw NIL, and I was doing things different because I had these connections. I was just a D1 athlete a year ago, you know what I'm saying? So I had this advantage, and I brought this to the table. But yeah, fast forward to when I wanted to go back to NC State. This is when it gets a little snaky from NC State, a lot of snaky actually. So after training with TJ and seeing that, okay, I'm fast, but I need to be the fastest in the world, right? And doing my own training is not gonna allow me to do that. And training, a few times a week with the trainer is not gonna allow me to do that. So I had this passion to go back to NC State. I was like, okay, I'll go back to state. You know, I took my few years off to get my hamstring stronger, and I've been putting in this consistent work. And so I called up a meeting with Alan Johnson, who was a coach at the time, and him, my trainer, and myself met up. We talked about me coming back to NC State, transitioning back to NC State. He asked me if I've been continuing to train, run, and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I just ran a meet, just ran 6.88. It went insanely viral. You know, I've been doing my thing. I've been staying consistent. I have a passion for this. I'm God gifted talent. I'm not going to let this fall apart. You know, I'm blessed with abilities. So he told me that they had not given any scholarships out at the time, and there's a spot on the team for me. I just got to go through the head coach. Okay. So I was like, bet. It seemed green. It seemed like, okay, like I'll be back at NC State doing my thing, creating more content for you guys, and being able to be back on the team and take advantage of the NIL stuff. So what I did was try to set up a meeting with the head coach and told my mom and everything about the news. And so we started to reach out to the head coach, and he would say he's busy. Another week would go by. He would be like, I'm busy. And I'm like, I mean, this is your job though. Like, your job is to literally get recruits in like myself. And you told me you believed in me. You said all these things about me before. You know, where is this going now? And he just kept pushing it back. And then after a month went by, we finally got him on the phone and discussed about being on the team. And he tells me that there's no room on the roster for me. So I was like, that's weird, because the sprint coach said the exact opposite, you know, like, so it's either he was not being truthful or you're not being truthful, because these stories are literally the complete opposite, right? So, you know, after hearing that, I started talking to the other teammates, because I was close with the teammates at the time, because I was only gone for 2 years. The same team was basically there, right? So I asked the team, and they're telling me that, what is he talking about? We didn't even recruit like that. Like, Jay, we need you on the team. We want you on the team. Like, it would be great to have you back. So once again, he was not being truthful, and I think it was his ego, to be frank, right? And after I told the sprint coach this, that the head coach said there was no room on the roster for me, the sprint coach actually dipped. The sprint coach dipped from NC State, because you could tell how the head coach focused on cross country. He's 80 plus years old. This man still is engraved old patterns of the old American. You know, it's like, I'm not gonna say he's the R word, but like, it's just like, why lie to me? You know what I'm saying? Why not be straightforward with me, or, you know, at least take my call and not push it back a month later and then say there's no room on the team for me? It's kind of like he was purposely trying to push back the meeting to try to pull that card on me. And I was gonna bring so much value to the team, not only with my speed, but with my audience, bringing awareness to the team, bringing more recruits to the team. But I believe everything is divinely guided for me. So I didn't take it too hard. You know, all I thought was there must be something bigger for me. And boy, was I right? So I was like, okay, hung up the phone. Continue my training, continue building my companies, continue doing me, continue building my brand, because my brand is bigger than NC State. You feel me? I got more audience than NC State will ever have. NC State track will ever have, right? And, you know, this led me to reaching out to St. Augustine University. And since Coach G pushed it back so far, I thought I was for sure into NC State, so I didn't even really reach out to a lot of other schools, because the sprint coach had told me, you know, there is room on the team for you. I just got to talk to the head coach to get all the numbers down. You know, I thought it was a matter of how much my scholarship was going to be, not if I was going to be able to get back on the team. I thought it was a no-brainer to put me back on the team. I'll be the fastest person on the team. I had I had run 688 that same year, which would have been the top 2 fastest people on the track team, right? So I didn't really care to reach out to other schools because I was already living in Raleigh. I didn't want to, move anywhere. And I'm already in a fraternity at NC State. Shout out my boys at Sigma Nu. You feel me? So I didn't really reach out to any other school. And when he told me there was no room on the roster, that's when I started to reach out. And all these other schools were like, oh, our roster's full. We're not taking any more recruits at the time. It's too late to transfer, yada, yada, yada. And also at NC State, I didn't have to transfer because I was already still a student. I had never officially left the school. So I wouldn't have to transfer anywhere. So that's why when all these other schools, I was reaching out, they were like, we can't take any more transfers at this time. It's way too late. So I was like, dang, they done messed me up yet again. I don't know what I was gonna do. So then I decided to reach out to St. Augustine. I knew it wasn't a D1 school, but I knew they had a great track program. They won 39 national championships. My old track coach went there, and they just have a great track program, right? So I reach out to the St. Aug coach. They get back to me with the swiftness, right? And at the time, I didn't even know the new head coach, Batman, was gonna be there. But it just so divinely happened that that same week that I reached out was the same week that he had said that he was gonna be a coach there. And I had my visit. Batman, so if you're not familiar with Batman, I'll put his accolades right up here. He was number 1 in the world 7 times for 400-meter hurdles. His daughter's doing great things. She has the national record, U20 record. She just won the U20 100-meter. Like, he's been proven that he knows speed and he can teach speed, right? And it was an honor it was a blessing for me to even get coached by him because, he could have easily went to a D1 university, but he went to St. Augustine. So he's coming back to his alma mater to really, help the program because the old head coach had got fired, right? So it was just divinely timed. And when I went on my visit and talked to Batman, I loved his energy. I loved how he brought up how he wants people, the athletes on the team, to not only be track athletes, but beyond that, and allow them to, and help them to, be multidimensional, have different aspects to their career rather than just track, because you don't have to hang up the spikes one day, right? So after hearing all of this, I was like, okay, I know I got D1 physique, the D1 speed, but I'll go to St. Aug. I'll be humble, and I'll be somebody that doesn't care about the necessary D1 connotations or D2. Like, bump that. I'm Jay Johnson Jr. I'm my own brand. I'm who I am. And if I'm getting guided by Batman, I should be able to get the superpowers like Flash. You feel me? But and another huge reason how I knew that God wanted this to happen was because not only did they get Batman got Terrell Robinson, who was ranked top 5 in the nation as the fastest people in the nation. You know what I'm saying? And he had a faster 100-meter time than me. You know what I'm saying? He ran 10.31. I run 10.34. And to have him on the team, me on the team, and Batman, it was like this was meant to be. I think Terrell was number 1 or 2 in the nation in the 60-meter dash, and to have that person on the team with me, it was like it was a D1 program. This is literally a D1 program in disguise right now. You know what I'm saying? This does not happen on accident. For all this to happen at the same time, I could have came back running college last year if I really wanted to, right? And Batman could have waited another year to be a coach. Or there's so many variables, but it just so happened that all of us are on this same St. Aug track team at the same time. And I couldn't be happier because St. Augustine allows me to not only be a great athlete, we have a gym, we have a great track, but I can also balance being a student athlete and an entrepreneur because, it's a bit easier education than a D1 program would be. They're a little bit more lenient, you know what I'm saying, to where I can actually do business, right? I have a lot of meetings per week, and to really do that, you can't really have that much on your plate, right? As a student, like if I'm sitting here writing 10-page papers, how am I gonna meet with these people? How am I gonna push this code? How am I gonna market my companies, my apps, right? So I think this was perfect, and I have no bad feelings with NC State. I just really wanted to expose what really happened and give y'all the full detailed breakdown on what happened and why I took that leap of faith, why I decided to go to St. Augustine, because this is something that is gonna go down in history. I'm here to make the impossible possible. I'm here to do something unseen before. I'm here to really shift the culture. I'm here to really elevate track athletes as a whole. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to give back to the St. Aug program for even giving me a shot, because like I said, I had stopped running in 2019 for a college program, and I was able to only run at one meet per season. So I ran one indoor meet, one outdoor meet, one indoor meet, one outdoor meet. So I ran 4 meets since I stopped running at NC State, because I had to pay for it all. I had to do it all. And I think that, God put me through this. God put me through that to see how much dedication I have and to see how hard I'm willing to push through to be great, to be this multi-dimensional athlete. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here to inspire you guys. I hope this story was inspiring to you guys. And I'm about to get back to my grind, get back to work here, and get ready for training tomorrow, because we train with Batman tomorrow. We got some 600s, we got some 300s, and we got some core. So I'm not going to give y'all no more, but God bless. I hope everybody has a great season. Godspeed.